The first lick is actually one that we're going to be able to do in a lot of variations. So it's real important that you get the first part of it down. We're going to go. Now we can do that at the beginning of a song because it's got the right tempo for it. We're doing it as a triplet feel, the first 3 notes, and then ending on our last note. Let's look at how we're doing it. We're in G, so we're playing our G minor pentatonic scale, right? And we're going to bend the 5th fret on the 3rd string. So we bend that up. Might have to, normally when we're playing and we're thinking good technique, we want to keep our thumb down low behind the neck and keep our hand in this position. But when we're playing, some blues licks and bending, you're going to have to bring your thumb up there to get a good squeeze on it. Really hard to do that with your hand down here. You can do it, but it's just more difficult. Don't be afraid to get your thumb up there. But then when we go to do other stuff, we might want to drop it back down and get in better position. So we're going to bend that note, and then we're going to bar with your first finger over the first 2 strings, and just going to get that kind of roll right there. So we're playing the 2nd string, then the 1st. Simple as that. And then we're going to bend at the 6th fret on the 2nd string. So our triplet would be, so if we were counting this off, it would be 1, 2, 3. Then we go into something else, right? So it works great as an intro to a blues, but it can be used in a lot of different ways. We'll go off of that. Or you hear like Hendrix use that lick a lot, as well as Clapton, a lot of those kind of things. So that's a good lick to get started with. The next lick is actually one that will work well when we're done with that lick, and this next lick will go great into the 4 chord. Remember, if we're playing a G blues, for example, 1 chord's G, the 4 chord's going to be our C9. So we want a lick that leads us down into that C chord. So when we're jamming, we actually have a place to get down to. We're going to here. So a good lick for that is going to be, it's a real nice lick. Now, if we counted those notes, we're going to come up with 12 notes, which means we could divide it into 6s over 2 beats, right? So we would go 1, 2. See how that leads down to there real nice? So that lick is pretty simple. You can do it over a fast blues too, and it gets kind of quick, but we're starting on the 1st string on the 3rd fret, and then doing a pull off on the 2nd string, and pulling off on the 3rd string, ending up here, and then going back to the 3rd string, and we're doing the flat 3rd to major 3rd hammer on. We can do that once again over lots of blues stuff, whether it's chord based or scale based. We can always go from our minor 3rd to our major 3rd. So we got the pull off again on the 4th string, and then that step down from the 5th fret to the 4th to the 3rd, which leads us to this note. We could do it and go, or end on some weird note, but since we're going to that chord, it's really nice to be able to step down in. Hear how those licks work good together? If I do those 2 back to back, they fit perfectly, okay? Now we can go up into our 2nd position of our G minor pentatonic scale, which would be here, right? And the top 2 strings here, we got, that's a lick you've heard a lot in a lot of blues songs. So we're starting on our 8th fret. We'll get two hits on that, and then go to our 1st string, and then 6th fret to 8th. And then what we want to do with that bend is we want to bend it up and then stop it. I don't want to go, I don't want to let it hang, right? I want to stop it. So I've got, and then I come back down to 6 and finish it up back on my 8th fret, which is my G note. So this works well over the 1 chord if you're playing a 12-bar blues. It also will work over the 4 chord, because going to my G there is fine, you know. So we got. So look at that. By just doing those licks, we're kind of putting a solo together. So that's something you want to think about is when you're learning licks, they're not just, oh, this is one lick, I don't know what else I'm going to do with this. Well, you're going to string bunches of those together, and then you get into a solo groove. Well, then what you can do is start varying them. Like the one where we're stepping down here. I can go. Right? So I can mix it up a little bit, add a few other notes, keeping the same principle. So you're starting with the basic lick and then branching out a little bit. That's what makes it so cool, is that you're actually starting with something simple and just adding a note, adding a note, adding a note, until it gets more and more complex. You don't have to start off learning this crazy, wacky lick. You can learn a simple lick and then just vary it a little bit. Let's look at a couple more, because I want to give you several licks here to play in G that you could play over your slow blues in G. This one is a great lick. You will recognize it because it's very, Stevie Ray Vaughan played this lick a lot, or as did Albert King. Right? What we would consider a pretty straightforward blues lick. But the cool thing is, starting out with the same thing as we did on the first lick, where we're bending this one. So I'm bending that note, those two. I come back to the second string. And then just play from my 3rd fret to my 6th and back. And you want to make sure you put some vibrato on that last note. That might be harder to do because it's on the 1st string and you can't pull it down, obviously, or you're going to pull it off the neck like that. So you want to kind of push it up a little bit. Now, the next lick that we'll do is another, pretty much another Stevie Ray Vaughan, Albert King lick, which we're going to go. We're going to simplify that mega. Okay, so we're going do the same bend again. And then instead of going back to that note, we're going to go, which is another common way to come out of that first bend, 2 notes, and then we go to 6th fret, 3rd fret. Now, then we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to add this note, which, as you can see, is not in our minor pentatonic scale, right? So we're going to add that note, which is actually, if we would look at what note that is, that's our 9th if we were in G, right? And we're going to add that one. But then we're going to do something even different. We're going to go from our 3rd fret, hammer on to our 4th, and then off. So that sounds kind of weird when we play it by itself. It sounds like it almost doesn't work. But it sounds nice like that. So we're stepping from this one, and we're kind of going chromatically because we're playing. So we're playing all those notes when all's said and done. And then we just step down, right down our pentatonic scale. Do a double stop off of these 2 notes. Hammer onto there. So let me give you that lick again. That's a really nice lick to use in there. Once again, many of these licks will complement each other because I think 3 of them are using that as our basis. And when you listen to, some old Eric Clapton stuff, you'll hear that all over the place. So that's a good springboard to use to get to some of the other licks that we do. All we got to do is just do some variations. Don't forget, just because we played all of those licks in G doesn't mean you can't move them around. That's the beauty of the guitar, really, in general, is we can move patterns to different keys. So all those licks we played right down here in our G minor pentatonic, if I want to play them in C minor pentatonic, all I have to do is go up to the 8th fret where my C is and play the exact... if I want to do them in A, I go to A. So the cool thing about licks and patterns is that they're movable. So it's a good idea to really know your neck well, know where your notes are. But that way, if someone says play blues in B or play some licks in D flat, wherever they want you to play it, you're good to go.